Thanks for joining me. Alright, so this, do not mind my nails because they're not done. And this one is a wreck. I'm going to change them tomorrow. I ran out of dip powder. Okay, this has nothing to do with the story. So I'm just going to talk about this really emotional story. It was really emotional for me because sometimes when I think about it, you'll know at the end. Okay, I guess I'll start off with that. But so um, where to start on this? So this is about um, a probably about in 2000 and I think it was 16. Yeah, it was 2016. So I work for an entity that um, where sometimes we work at different buildings. Okay, and where I live or where I work, there are three, three buildings that we work out of in this part of the state that I work in. So, um, my original building um, is where I was working in December. Yeah, it was December because it was right before Christmas. Or it was I think it was in November, either November or December of that year. And my supervisor at the time had asked me if I would go to another building to help out because it was really backed up to the point where we were hiring like a whole bunch of temporary workers to come in and help. Um, and it was around the time of year where in January we start working on some very important projects of the year. So I guess they were trying to like get everything situated so that everything would be ready. So she asked me if I would go to the other building and help out for it's supposed to be like a week initially, right? So I said yes and just asked like, what did they need me to do there? And it was something totally different than my job. Um, so I had to like get a little bit of training or whatever. And the assignment was supposed to only last for I think 1 to 2 weeks. So I think it was actually 1 week. I could actually pull up my email and see. Um, from 2016. But anyway, um, I go to that building and my original building was number 2, and this building I had to go to was number 1. Um, so I went to that building, and it's almost like starting a new job because it's totally different from the department that I work in. But so I got training for like maybe a day, two, couple days, and I caught on really quickly, so I was able to work independently for part of the main part of what I had to do. So there's people there that are from my unit, and then there are other people from different units in my building and other buildings. And then, like I said, they were hiring some temporary people to come in. So I'm into it, pretty much going pretty fast to the point where they actually had me start to train some people that were coming in to help. So I liked it a lot because my job is pretty much stationary to the point where we don't we don't really have the ability to walk around and mingle with each other, things like that. We pretty much are at our desks working all day, except for obviously breaks and lunch, things like that, and um, everything's tracked, like our whereabouts, all that kind of stuff. In this building that I went to help out in, and then also in my building, there's a strict, extremely strict dress code um, policy, which after working there for years, you get used to doing. But the policy is, there's no jeans, no casual shirts, no shirts with writing, no sneaker, nothing like that. So my typical day would be just get up, get dressed, either a skirt, dress, and definitely high heels every single day. That's me anyway. So working out, helping out in this building, there was no dress code, so we could wear jeans every single day. Um, Whatever you wanted as far as shoes. I still um, pretty much wore my skirts, my short skirts, and my heels anyway. But on occasion I would get up, get ready, be running out of time or whatever, or not sure what I'm gonna wear for the day, so I would just slap on some jeans and my heels and whatever I'm wearing, and then go to work that way. But there was no pressure. I could wear my Ugg. We can't even wear in my building. We can't even wear Ugg boots. We cannot wear boots with the name Ugg on them or any other designer name. Which at that point in time, it kind of sucked because it was wintertime. And although I do wear shoes in the wintertime, like high heels, sometimes I just want to wear, especially where I live, it snows a lot. So I wanted to wear my boots. And other than high heel boots, sometimes I just want to throw my Uggs and just be comfortable. But in that building where I was helping out, that was allowed. So that was another perk. Anyway, picked up very quickly, like I said, to the point where they had asked me to go help out and train other people that were coming in. So maybe a month into it, we pretty much got my routine down packed. Help training other people that are coming into the building, and one day, like a month in, there was this guy that came in. He was really tall. I'm really short. I'm 4'11" and a half. And the guy that came in was like easy, like 6'3" probably. I'm not really sure, but he was really tall. And he just, when you meet somebody, right? And you kind of get like certain vibes from them, like their demeanor. I kind of got like a certain vibe from this dude. It was more like totally opposite than mine. Okay, mine is hi, how are you? What's going on? Whatever. How can I help you? What's up? Whatever. Just chit chat, social butterfly, big time, all over the place. Helping out, talking, open. Like I'm just very like extremely energetic and friendly and always smiling, and so he came in and he just had like this face on that was like just really like like I don't know, he seemed like he was miserable or like kind of like cocky, very like the whole vibe was like he's very like arrogant. That's the way he looked. His face looked like that, and the way he was dressed he was dressed nice. Um, nice like dress shirt, tie, um, dress shoes. He was really neatly dressed, very professional looking. He looked like he belonged in my office. That's what he looked like. Um, but he was just coming in as a temporary person to like help out on a temporary basis. Some people end up getting a permanent position, and that's what he was trying for. So the supervisor explains like what's the role like everyone has to do, like, whatever your job responsibilities. And his was like really simple. So the way instead of having like your own desk like in my office, that department doesn't have their own desk. They have like long desks, like the conference room tables, like those type things. So there's like a whole bunch of people. Like there's probably I think four of those. There's like four of those, and then there is a row of cubes that go along like a one little back section. And I don't remember what those people do, but pretty simple stuff. So he works on the part where it has like all the people doing whatever. And apparently he didn't like doing that. There was a lot of math involved and whatever. So apparently he didn't like doing that. Me, computer person, and they didn't even ask me to do that. They asked me to jump right on the computers and start working. So he eventually wanted to try. He expressed interest in with his supervisor. He wanted to try to do what I was doing, not just me, but like with the people that were doing what I was doing, what we were doing. He wanted to like learn that. So she ended up letting him try. She came over and explained to him, like or had us like go over what we were doing and told us that he wanted to try it. So everyone's friendly, pretty much, and pretty much willing to help out and all that stuff. So he sat with one of the other people from my building that I didn't really know, but anyway, we're all like literally sitting next to each other, just like maybe 2 feet away from each other, all the way down the row. And there's probably like 5 people at the table, and then all computers and whatever. So we were working on that stuff. Um, and then there's printers, fax machines, all that stuff that come out that are there. I mean, where everything comes out that we're working on. Some of them, it's not complicated, but it's complicated if you've never worked in that type of environment before. So, sometimes you can get really mixed up and basically screw everything up. So it's really important um, to know what you're doing. Anyway, he um, definitely had some struggles. So he would ask questions. And one day he asked me to help him with something on the project, and I helped him out. And I asked him his name, and he told me what his name was. He said his name was, and I'm gonna give his real name. His name was Dasan. And when he said Dasan, I was like, I kind of didn't. I was like, what? And then he was like, Dasan. All right, so I called him his name, like, I don't know, one day, and I kind of screwed it up, and he looked like he had an attitude. He was like really pissed off about the fact that I mispronounced his name, and I was like, wow, like, I'm sorry. I mean, you know. So, um, another day, I asked him, I was like, how do I pronounce your name again? And he's like, Dasan, like the water. And I was like, oh, like Dasani. And I was like, okay, Dasan. So that's how I remembered what his name was. Um, didn't forget it again. So anyway, um, this is pretty much a long story, but really, it's crazy. All right, so we started working together because he always asked me questions. I was training him. There was another girl there that was training him initially, and I guess he didn't really like the way that she was kind of like, I don't know, she was rushing through things instead of taking the time out. And when I train people, I take the time to explain step by step. If you're gonna ask me the same questions a million times, I don't mind because I learn by repetition with a lot of things, so I didn't mind. And he kind of felt more comfortable with me, um, and so he wanted to sit next to me and work with me. So I was fine with that, but I didn't really like his attitude though. He seemed like he wanted to learn, but then he didn't want to. Like he needed to know answers to things, questions, but then when I would be explaining things, he'd kind of get like an attitude, and I was just like, he would kind of frustrate me because I'm like trying my hardest to teach him things, like just really slowly. So that way he would pick it up, and then feel more confident in himself. Whatever. He liked it, but then again, he wanted to show like right away, like he knew what he was doing. I guess so that he could probably stay on that job and not go back to doing the other stuff. So he's kind of like trying to prove himself. I didn't know that at first until I started to put two and two together. So, anyway, um, the it was either the first or the second full day of me training him. My shift got over at I think 4:30. Or is it 4:30? No, I think I had to change my hours where I ended at 5 p.m. I believe. But anyway, shift got over, and pretty much everyone was gone, except for the people that worked like on a different project. So, um, I'm ready to go. It's wintertime. It's getting dark out early. It gets dark like around 4 o'clock, and I just wanted to hurry up and get out of there. Like I did every day. I was just excited to get done with the day, the work day, and get home. So we are finishing up, and then I don't think it was the first day. I think it was like the second day. It was the second day, more like the second day of me training. And if it's time to go, try to hurry up and get out of there. Say goodnight to everybody like I always do. Like literally get up and go all over the whole office and say goodnight to everybody. So did that. I went back to sit down and get my things together so I can, leave. And as I'm getting my stuff together, he said something to me. Well, I'm trying to think what he said. He asked me. Oh, I told him like, are you leaving? I mean, are you staying late? Like, are you getting out late or whatever? Because everyone there isn't on the same schedule. So, um, he was just like hovering. So I was like, oh, okay, are you getting ready to leave or whatever? And then he was like, oh, I gotta see my supervisor first before I leave. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he's like, I see him walk across the office and go to his supervisor's desk. And then he was like, and I guess she was busy. I'm not really sure. But he's like waiting and waiting and waiting. And I noticed that he's waiting for a pretty good amount of time. So I was like, are you okay? Do you need help with something? Or, you just want to wait for your supervisor? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I was just going to ask her to if I could borrow $1. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought that was kind of weird, but then again, I mean, I don't know. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, you're gonna ask your. I never heard of that before, so I was like, I asked him. I was like, you're gonna ask your supervisor for $1? And he was like, yeah. I mean, she's my supervisor. Shouldn't she be giving me $1 if I need one? And then I was like, I don't know. I guess. I mean, she could, but. And he's like, yeah. I just need $1 so I can catch the bus. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I can give you $1 for you to catch the bus. And he's like, you sure you don't mind? Blah blah blah. And I was like, no, I don't mind. So I gave him $1 to catch the bus, and you know, I went home, and the next night, um, well, not the next night, the next day. So we get to work, whatever, and we're doing our job and everything like that, and it's just normal. Um, so we have like break times. Everyone's is different, so that there's still people there or whatever, and there was a break room. Now, mind you, this isn't my building, so even in my building, I never go to my break room. I just bring my things back to my desk, or I'll leave the office and drive down the road or whatever to get lunch. Um, I never sat in my office's lunchroom or break room to eat. Um, but this one, I don't know, it's a little bit different. I'm comfortable doing the work, I'm comfortable being around everyone, but I'm just not comfortable, like, going off to grab something to eat or lunch, because there's not there are not really too many places around there where you can, like, drive to and get lunch or whatever you want to do on your lunchtime. So for this period of time, I would, like, grab lunch, eat in the break room at that building, and then just go back to work. So, which kind of felt weird because I wasn't used to that. So, anyway, probably like maybe a week or two passes, and a week or two passes, and he, they asked us to do some sort of project where I don't remember everything that we had to do, but they had mail coming in. That's what it was. The mail was coming in, and then um, I'm just thinking about, like, the table, like, where we worked at together. The second table, it's a bigger table. It's really high, so being that I'm only 4'11", like, I could barely see over the table, and I managed because I had my heels on. So, but it was just like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Um, but so in the mail, like, we had these. Trying to think, we had to do some, like, we had to open the mail with, like, mail cutters or whatever, and then we had I don't remember exactly what we had to do, but there were big, huge, like, those mail trays that you get from the postal service. They come in a couple times a day. They have drop offs and pickups. So no, actually, they were coming in to pick up. They would come in and pick up mail and go and drop off. So we had these trays that we had to, like, put things, put the letters or whatever had to go out into, and they had us doing something. Oh, it was those bone folders that you use to um like hold up large bulky letters. so I like crease really perfectly. And they didn't have bone folders. They had like, I don't know, some weird, like it was just like any random object that people would use to like put a crease in the papers. And it was weird to me because I have a couple of bone folders at home, because I used to write greeting cards. So I would just use those to fold up the paper, the cardstock, which is really thick. And I was like, why didn't they just use bone folders? But I mean, everyone would like have a hard time like creasing the letters with whatever we were using there. Um, so anyway, I brought a bone folder in one day. Him and I were going to be working on that project together for, well, not really project, we're just doing the mail thing for them. They were so behind, this department, that it was just crazy. So we needed to do like help out with everything. Um, which is fine with me because we have the ability to move around and do different things and talk to different people, things like that. But it was still like awkward. Anyway, they assigned him and I to work on that together. And this one day in particular was the first day that we worked like standing across from each other. So he was over here, I'm over here, and we had like all the things to get into the postal service mail tray, right? So we were getting that stuff done, and I don't remember how we had to sort it or whatever, but for some reason it was kind of like definitely had to be perfect because it was going out of the office to go to, actual people, obviously. But so that's what we were doing, and sometimes I would struggle with like creasing because they were like 16 pages, 20 pages thick. It wasn't like one little page or two little pages. These were like lots of pages thick, and they all had to be folded together. So that's why it was like really hard. And um, so I'm doing it, and then we're like passing each other back and forth, like the papers that each other needs and whatever. Um, and then he was like, oh, well, like I didn't realize that he was paying attention, but he to what I was doing. I mean, we're standing right across from each other, but you're looking down at what you're doing. You know what I mean? But he was like, one day he just piped out and he was like, oh, give me those. And I was like, for what? And then he's like, I'm gonna fold those for you because there's a lot there. And I was like, okay, but it's fine. I'm just gonna fold them myself. And then he's like, no, I don't want you to hurt your fingers. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I don't want you to hurt your fingers. And I was like, okay. And I just like stopped and like thought for a second, like, why would you even care? He's been like a dick, basically, the whole time. All right? That's what he was being at the time. So I was kind of confused. Like, why would you even give a crap? But anyway, I just kind of hesitantly gave him the papers and he would just get them folded. He was so big, like bigger than me. Like, not weight, like, I don't mean like that. He wasn't fat or anything like that. He was really, really, really tall and really, like, solid. So, I'm going to put some lotion on my hands. But anyway, he decided to fold them for me. So I was like, okay, cool. All right, so he decided to be like courteous to me, which was kind of a shocker because, like I said, the way he was just so, I don't know, like he was stuck up, he was stuck on himself, I don't know. He was handsome. He wasn't even handsome, he was fine. Okay, he was alright, I'm not even gonna lie. But he was such an asshole. Like the way his attitude was, that the rest of that went right out the window, quick. So it didn't make him like really appear any different um at first. So anyway, he helped me do all that stuff, and then um I remember I had the color navy blue. I had just got my nails done. They were navy blue, and they had like a whole bunch of like rhinestones on them. They were really pretty. And he commented on my nails. Like he's like, "Oh, I love your nails," blah blah blah. But he wasn't he wasn't outspoken like that. He wasn't really like energetic that way. He was more like, your nails look nice. Yeah, I love your nails. And but he was really quiet. Like, he wasn't like, I don't know. But um, so I was like, oh thanks, and he's like, your nails always look nice. I would get my nails done probably like at that point in time it had been a month, so I probably had my nails done the second time in a row since we were working there together. Um, and I loved him, so I was just like, I was glad that he liked him. I don't know why I was glad that he liked him because we're talking about a guy who was like really. But anyway, then he asked me where I'm from. It was just like we're working back and forth. He's helping me with certain things. I'm helping him with certain things. And then he was just like, "Where are you from?" The way he talked was like, "Where are you from?" Like he wasn't like, I don't know. Like my usual person is usually like my usual person. People that usually ask me like, "Where are you from?" They're usually like, "Where are you from?" I don't know. Just the way he was like monotone, basically. Where are you from? You live here? You live around here? Like just things like that. Um, so I told him where I'm from. He's like, "Oh, okay. I heard that's a nice area." And I was like, "It is. Um, it is. It's definitely a place that's um, it's a place that a lot of it's a wealthy place. Like the place that I was born and raised. My parents were born and raised. My grandparents were born and raised, and it's not predominantly black at all. Um, so he, and it's notorious for what only really wealthy people can afford to live there, and a lot of celebrities go there, like to the place that I'm from, the town. And for me, it's not abnormal for a lot of people, especially being that they see the color of my skin and they're like not expecting that. But I don't know. It's for me. It's not weird. For me, it's normal because that's all I've known since I've grown up. I've not known anywhere else. I've not lived anywhere else. So I'm not looking at it like other people are from that don't live there, weren't from there, weren't born there. Um. So, but it is a place like when you say the name, people are like, "Oh, that's a nice place. Wow, it's expensive to live there." Blah blah blah. So he's like, "Did you like it growing up there?" And I told him, "Yeah, I loved it." Which I do. It's a pretty quiet place. It's clean. Just, it's pretty small, but not really a small, like small, extremely small town. But I don't know. Anyway, um, so we talk about that. I asked him where he was from. He was from New York City, which it's a lot different than where I grew up. Um, Busy and whatever, but I was like, oh, okay. So, not judging, but because I like New York City, I like to go there like for trips, like day trips, shopping, whatever. Sometimes, just whatever. Not really like, you know, anything out of the ordinary for me. But living wise, I'm very, 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 very country because I'm used to it. That's how I grew up. Is in the country, around horses, um, quietness, like, go to the public library, that type of stuff. So the backgrounds are like different immediately when it comes to that kind of stuff. But cool, nice. Um, and so we go on to talk like, a little bit throughout the working day. And then at the time, he asked me one day, not like that same day, but I think it was like the next day. Um, he asked me um, if I had a boyfriend, I was married, blah, blah, blah. And I told him no because I am not. Um, and that was pretty much it. So he, um, that night at the end of the work shift, he had to get a ride home. He was going to catch the bus. It didn't really fade. I mean, it didn't have anything to do with me, but he had to catch the bus again. That was his mode of transportation, was the bus. So I understand. I mean, I took a bus a long time ago, way a long time ago. But I mean, nothing wrong with that. To me, some people prefer to do that, to drive. So I didn't think it was anything like bad. There are a lot of people that I work with that take buses. Um, but that night, the next night, whatever, was a bad, bad, bad snowstorm. It was really snowing. So at the end of our shift, typically when it snows at the end of my shift or the work day, I just go out to the car, shovel it off, brush it off, whatever, get it clean, get it running so it gets warm. Shit, my food. I'm burning my freaking food. Um, but anyway, so figures my battery's gonna die. Hopefully I can get this done. I probably have to do a part two on this because my battery's gonna die. Let me see someone can turn off my food. Like I was saying, it snows a lot. And so that's what we do. Um, go out, clean the car off, whatever. So that's what I was gonna do. So he's like, "Oh, let me walk you to your car." And I was like, kind of like I really didn't want him to walk into my car because I didn't know this dude like that. So I ended up, I mean, I let him walk into my car. There's cameras all over and things like that. And then, so I just eventually ended up saying, okay. He walks into my car, and it is literally snowing bad. Like, there's snow that was probably like a couple feet behind. So he walks into my car and he's like, I just want to give you a hug. I was like, give me a hug. And he's like, yeah, I want to give you a hug because, um, the other night, or like whatever night it was, like a couple weeks ago, he gave me money to take the bus. And I really appreciate it. I won't get a paycheck until next week or whatever it was he was saying. So I was like, oh, okay, no problem. I mean, I didn't really want to give him a hug. I didn't want him to give me a hug. I didn't know this dude at all. And then it's dark outside, even though there's cameras. Like, we're pretty much not the only people, but there's not many people in the parking lot. And all I wanted to do was just get in my car and drive home. And I was like, well, aren't you going to miss the bus? And then he's like, oh, I'll catch the next one, whatever. It was freezing out there on top of that. Not just extremely snowing, but it was really freaking ice cold. I was like, well, you got to catch the bus. I'm going to finish warming up my car and cleaning it off real quick. And he's like, oh, no, where's your snow brush? And I was like, it's in my car or my trunk or whatever it was. And then he's like, oh no, let me clean your car off for you. So I was like, no, you don't have to clean my car. I mean, I'm used to doing it myself. And he's like, yeah, but you shouldn't be doing it by yourself, blah, blah, blah. So he insisted. So I was like, okay. So he cleans my car off. And I was like, you gotta be freaking freezing. He didn't have gloves on. I don't know. It was ice cold out there, and I felt horrible. I was like, do you want to get in the car for a second to just warm up? And I just wanted him to get warm. I didn't, want him to be freezing. I appreciated the fact that he cleaned my car off. And we were just going to be sitting in the parking lot anyway. So I was, I wasn't frightened anymore. Kind of weary a little bit, but not as I initially was. I felt bad that he was cleaning off my car. Like, I'm just like standing there, but he insisted. So anyway, he said, yeah, you don't mind? Are you sure you're comfortable with that? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, I'm fine. So he got in and put the snow brush away, got in. And then, so we're sitting there and I got the heat blaring. It's getting really warm. And then he was like, telling me, he's like, you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I mean, I'm smoking my cigarettes. So anyway, I was like, well, you don't smoke cigarettes? And he's like, no. I was like, okay, well, I mean, that's good. Because I had literally just started smoking again. After 2 years of not smoking, 2 whole years. But where I moved from, no, at the time I was still living there. Still living with my ex, which I hated, and I was really literally looking for a new place to live because I was leaving him. He didn't know it, but I was leaving him. So I was just looking for a place for myself and my dog. And it was kind of hard because I have a German Shepherd, so it's kind of hard to like rent a place because a lot of people that's a German Shepherd is on the breed restriction list. So it was just really stressful and all that stuff. But anyway, I don't even know why I brought that up. Oh, that's why I started smoking again because it was so bad in that relationship that I just was so stressed. I couldn't take it anymore, so I decided to just start smoking cigarettes again to try to calm myself and all that stuff. Anyway, he he was like, "Do you know when the next bus is gonna come?" And I was just like, "I have no clue." And I mean, I don't even know how to look up the bus schedule or the um. I have no idea. And then he's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'll get there." So I was just like, "Well, all right. Well, you better get going because it's getting dark. It's starting to get like late. It was probably like an hour or so. I didn't want to miss the next bus, so I was just like, okay, you better get going. So he got out the car and left, and then the next day gets there, and I started to get like a little bit more comfortable in talking to this dude, but he was still kind of like he seemed like he was getting a little bit more relaxed, but not like all the way. Like usually, like when a person that I meet for the first time, we're sitting there, we're talking, it's just pretty normal. It's not. It doesn't take me long to warm up to someone. I'm just friendly with everyone, so he just seemed like he was kind of like something was bothering him, or something was like really like on his mind. And on top of it, he seemed kind of cocky still. But for some reason, he was starting to like get more. He was becoming more talkative and communicating more with me, which I really didn't understand because he was not like that with anyone at all in the office. At all. People would say comments like, you know, he's not really friendly, he's not really like outgoing. Because those people that I work with are usually like outgoing, friendly, they talk with everybody. It's just, you know, normal. That's our normal work environment. And he just wasn't like that. But he started talking to me, asking me questions about myself and, my life and whatever. So I ended up kind of feeling a little bit more open or at ease or whatever you want to call it. Next day gets here and um, we're working. She puts us back on assignment together. And I mean, I didn't mind it. It was just like, but I don't know. I don't know. I was just thinking, like, why did she do this? But not like in a mad way or anything, but just like, we really didn't have the same people, like the same partners. Same, like if we were working with someone, it wasn't always the same person. So or like, you know what I mean? Like, but so I was kind of like wondering, like, why does she keep putting him and I together to work together? Like, I don't understand that. I didn't say anything to her. I just, did what I had to do and kept working with him. Anyway, so this time we have to like put all the other things that we're working on like on the other side of the office, and then this big, huge, like up to the ceiling almost stand, shelf, whatever you want to call it. And some of them were extremely like huge stacks, like huge, heavy. And I was just like, oh my god, like I'd be picking them up and taking them all the way across the other office into the middle of the office. And some of them were tiny stacks. Some of them were like huge, like this, and they were heavy. He was like, one day, or that day, out of the blue, he was just like, um, save. No, actually, he didn't say that yet. What he did was, they were all stacked up on the desk. So, like, literally, there were piles, like a whole bunch of stacks. So he sat next to me, um, in the morning, and he just like totally took over someone else's like area. There's no names on it, but when you log into the computers there, that's where you are sitting. and I kept the same one for the entire time. Um, oh yeah, so that's another thing about the time. Like my supervisor, um, our day up was supposed to be, I forgot what the day was, but it was well past the days. I'm like, what is going on? Like I'm supposed to be back at my own building. If he ended up being permanent, that would be his building, the one that we were working in together, where I was training, um, for helping out. So it would be a totally different building. But he's like, when are you going back to your building? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, we haven't gotten any word yet. Finally, we did get word that they asked us to stay for another month. And I was like, damn, because I love my office. Like, my coworkers around me, like, we're always joking around, we're always playing, like, it's a really fun environment. When we're down, like, when we have time throughout the day, every day, we just joke around and play around, stuff like that. Sometimes we're throwing stuff at each other, whatever. Um, so I was kind of like, oh my god, so another month? Wow, it's like a long time, and I'm not gonna be at my own building. So anyway, they have a meeting. So we have a huge meeting. So we're all sitting in the conference room, and he, this was from our people, like our normal departments that are over there helping out, and so that's when she tells us the news, like, that we want to have you guys for another month if you can, if you won't mind. We didn't have to do it, um, but they were so in need of help. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it because I was really good at it and really getting a lot of work done, a lot of progress was being made, and they were really thankful for that. So I decided, yes, I will do it again for another month, even though my shift is changed. I'm not really used to that shift, but whatever. So I decided to do it. Um, and then when we came out of the meeting, those people in that department, including him, were, he was sitting there, and when I came out, he's like, "Oh, so what's going on?" And I told him, "Well, I'm gonna stay for another month." And he's like, "Oh yes." He was like, "I'm so glad." And I was like, "What?" Like it just shocked me that he was to have that reaction. Like, I'm so glad. Like I was like, but anyway, so then, like, I had all these huge stacks, like I was saying, heavy, heavy, heavy stacks. And I got ready to bring them over to where they need to be put. And he he's like, no, no. Really? Like, not like, oh, let me get those. He's like, no, no. I was like, what? And then he's like, no, I'm going to carry these. Those are those are too heavy. You're not going to carry those. And I was like, no, it's fine. I mean, I've been doing this. He's like, no, I'm not gonna let you do that. I'm gonna carry those for you. All your big sacks, keep them there. I'm taking them for you. And I was just like, um, okay. So he did that, and I just I was wondering, like, why is he doing? I don't understand, because if you understand, and then, like, we're all still working apart. Don't forget, like, 2 feet apart, each of us, right? So the other ones are all females, and one lady just like looked at him, looked at me, and then I saw her because he wasn't really looking. He wouldn't really look at other people at all. He definitely wasn't talking to them. But she noticed that he was doing that, and then she just looked at me like, "This is one lady from my department. There's two that were from my normal department." And they were like, the one lady, she was like a little bit older. She was probably like in her 50s or something like that, and she was like, like that. And I was like, well, I'm confused. Like, what do you mean? She's like, and it was like went right over my head as to why. So then that night, after the end of that shift, he wanted, or he was gonna go home, hit the bus or whatever. And he was like, "Can I?" He's like, "I need to get like a whole bunch of I don't know if he had to get bus tickets or bus fare or whatever. I don't know what the purpose of it was, but it's like I'm gonna see if I can borrow like $10 or something like that, so that way I can get back and forth. I don't have to keep asking for money." Um, and he was gonna talk to a supervisor, so I was like, "Oh, okay." Anyway, I was like, "Hey," I was like, "Can you come here for a second?" And then I just kind of felt bad, like I didn't want him to ask his supervisor, because I don't know. I was like, I mean, I know you didn't ask me or anything like that, but do you want me to just loan you the money and then you could just pay me back whenever payday is? And then he was like, "Oh, if you don't mind, I'll pay you back as soon as the paycheck or gets here or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, of course." So, um, I gave him $50, and then he was like, "Well, what is this for?" And I was like, "I mean, just in case you need, um, whatever. I mean, if you need to get something to eat or whatever, I don't know, whatever the situation is, but I mean, just in case." He was like, "No, that's too much." And I was like, "No, it's not. Taking him. If you don't take it, I'm probably going to be a little bit upset." So he's like, "Okay." He's like, "I promise I'm going to pay you back," and blah, blah, blah. So, um, jump to the next part. Um, Payday gets there for them, and he he's like, "Hey, can I see you for a second?" So I was like, "Yeah, sure." I forgot all about it. And he was like, "Oh, here's the money I owe you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But he gave me $60. And I was like, "But you gave me too much money. I don't have change, but I can get change later. Or when we go shopping, we can go downstairs in the cafeteria and get lunch." And he was like, "No, he's like, you gave me 50, but I'm giving you 60 because that's what I want you to have." I was like, "Yeah, but this is not," he was like, "No, that's it. That's what I'm giving you." I was like, "Okay. I mean, I appreciate it." So typically what I would do is I always got like bottled water. I always got um like some sort of snack, which I shouldn't have been eating, but like some kind of like whatever for a snack, like a treat snack, like a cupcake or whatever. Not cupcake, but like cookies or whatever. And I always get this certain kind of cookie, chocolate chip, and it would always have like, I don't remember what the brand was, but it was really good and soft and whatever. Those were the kind of chocolate chip cookies that I liked. Um, and I'd always get something else. I don't remember. But anyway, oh yeah, like Cheetos or whatever the frick it was. So one day, no, it was the same day. Um, it got to be lunchtime, and he's like, "Oh, now he gets to the point where he'll be like, what are you doing for lunch?" And I was just like, I'm not really sure. I mean, I'm probably gonna go down to the cafeteria, or I'll go like grab something from the break room. He's like, "Oh, well, I'll go down to the cafeteria with you." I was like, "Okay." So I usually get this pizza from down there. It's really good. They have like all kinds of, the cafeteria is huge, right? So, and they have so many good things to choose from down there. So we go down together. He'd never been down there before. We go down the elevator, and it's together. And then, so we get down there. There's hundreds of people in there. All right, but their cafeteria was huge, and then they had like where you get seated, but it's dimmed down there. Like it's dim like a romantic restaurant. I don't know why their cafeteria is like that, but it's there's tables. It looks like you're in a hotel diner or whatever, hotel's restaurant. but it's really dim, like a really pretty. It doesn't look like a workplace area to eat, but that's what the whole thing is like that. So he's like, "Do you want to eat down here?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. We can eat down here." So we ate. He bought me my lunch, and we sat down there and we ate. And then I had to smoke my cigarette. So at the end of my lunch, I'm like, I need to go outside and smoke. And we had like 10, 15 minutes left. And I always do that. So again, he tells me about this big old lecture about how I shouldn't be smoking, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. But I'm going to smoke a cigarette anyway. So we get outside. I'm smoking a cigarette. And he stayed with me. Like, I'm like, what? I mean, I'm smoking a cigarette. And he's like, hey, I know, but, I just want to talk to you. So I was like, okay. So I don't remember what conversations were about, but that was that. And then the night or the rest of the work day goes on, and then it gets to the point where it's time to go. It's time to go. This time he's like, I got money, I can take the bus, but I mean, if you don't mind, could you give me a ride to my dad's place? And I was like, yeah, sure. Where is it? Blah blah blah. So it's probably like 10-minute drive, 15-minute drive or so from work. So not far at all. So I'm like, sure, I don't mind. So I drop him off to his place, and we say goodbye, see you tomorrow, whatever. So I leave, and then the next day comes, we get to work, and it's because we could eat on our like throughout our working, we didn't have to wait till break time or whatever. So um anyway, I used to always go get myself some water, bottled water, and like a snack. Um, he comes over. He goes out of the office, comes back in, and comes over to me, and he handed me a bottle of water, Dasani, and he bought me a cookie, and I was like, "What? What is this for?" And then he goes, um, "It's just for you." He's like, "I mean, I want to buy you something to snack on or whatever." So I was like, "Oh, okay. These are my favorite cookies." And he's like, "I know." So, I mean, it's not hard. We're literally like right next to everyone. So the one lady looks at me. I forgot her name. I don't remember her name, but she was an older lady, and she's look at me that time. She was like, again. And when he left, like he got up and he went to and he started working back at his own station, his original place. So when he left, she was like, mm-hmm. And I was like, mm-hmm, what? And she was like, he likes you. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, he definitely likes you. I was like, why? Because he bought me a cookie and some water. She was like, no. She's like, I see the way that he looks at you. And then there's another lady that works next to her who was a little bit older too, probably in her like late 50s. And then she was like, I agree with her. He definitely is into you. She was like, both of us look at each other. Like when he looks at you, he looks at you like he really, really likes you a lot. And I was just like, I mean, then I kind of got like weird, like feelings like that. I don't think that that's the case. Not like that, you know? She's like, not like that. Anyway, I didn't really make anything of it or take it to mean anything. So then, I'm gonna cut this because this is ending. This is an hour long. So I'm gonna end this one. And stay tuned for part two. Subscribe if you'd like this video. I know it's a little bit long, but I have to get to When I get to the end, you will definitely see why I need to make part two. Part two is where it gets really extremely intense and very, very unbelievable what happens. There's a lot in the second part. I'll be back. I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna upload this and then I will do part two for this. Thank you for watching. If you watched the whole entire thing, and hit the notification bell because I do have other story times, and they're all really good and like pretty much intense. All right, but this one is definitely gonna be intense for part two. All right, so definitely stick up, stick around for part two, and click on it. And trust me, you are gonna be like, you are not gonna believe the way that this ends.